And now today's featured speaker is Anna Trilleras, Assistant Director of Employer Relations and Recruiting in Bentley's Pulsifer Career Development Center. Anna brings more than 6 years of employer engagement and career coaching experience to her current role. A former talent agent in the Boston area, Anna managed a roster of over 100 actors, helping each to secure work in the advertising, film, and television spaces, all while offering invaluable one-on-one career development guidance. Anna's passion for mission-driven initiatives ultimately led her to transition into higher education. Since joining the Pulsifer Career Development Center in March of 2018, Anna has excelled in executing high-level projects, including acting as a functional lead for Bentley's long-awaited Handshake CRM system implementation and teaching a 6-week career development intensive course to graduate-level students. To enhance her career coaching skills, Anna received her Gallup Strengths Coach certification in January 2020 and has conducted over 600 individual coaching sessions focused on job search strategy during her time at Bentley. Anna holds a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and a minor in film from Boston College. Without further ado, please join me in virtually welcoming Anna Trilleras. Thank you, Anna.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Emily. That was such a wonderful introduction. I'm so happy to be here with the Office of Alumni and Family Engagement and everyone who's tuning into Falcon Weekend. A very exciting time. So I just want to thank you all again for inviting me and letting me speak to you today about Handshake. It's a big, exciting thing for us. We, Bentley University, just transitioned and implemented Handshake, which is a career platform this past August. So it's a very exciting transition for us. And I want to spend some time to talk to families today to talk about what is Handshake, how your student is using it, the benefits. Again, I want to show you the product so you have a little bit of an understanding of what your student is logging into every day, how they can make career coaching appointments. So it's all very exciting. So I'm going to start with a small little presentation just to cover some Handshake highlights so you, again, have a better understanding of what the platform is. And then I'm going to actually log into my student account on Handshake so you can get a sense of what the dashboard looks like, how your student can complete their profile, how they can apply to jobs, RSVP for events, all that good stuff within Handshake. And then lastly, we have reserved some time at the end of this webinar for Q&A because I am so excited to answer any questions you may have on Handshake, our Employer Relations and Recruiting Office, career coaching in general, whatever's on your mind as a family of a Bentley student. So obviously, why did we make the transition to Handshake? Why is Handshake such, a big deal in higher education? Why is it considered the #1 career platform? So Bentley recently, as I mentioned, just transitioned in this August. Handshake has actually been around since 2013. It was founded in 2013 and it was officially launched in 2014. And really, Handshake's mission was to democratize access to jobs. It was founded by 3 Michigan Tech alumni who thought, there are some great employers out there and some great companies, but they don't come to our school to recruit. So they set out to create a platform that really brought big name employers, even startups, smaller employers to students across the country, right? They wanted to give equal access to every student, not just sort of the big Ivy Leagues, the Harvards and the Stanfords. As great as those schools are, there are there are many students out there who are perfect for internships and entry-level jobs. So they democratized on that and they created the #1 career platform. I think numbers speak so highly for themselves. As of now on Handshake, there are over 3.5 million jobs and internships posted across every industry. And that includes full-time jobs, part-time jobs. I mean, Handshake really is the place to go if you are a college student and you're looking for an internship or you're looking for your first full-time opportunity. Those numbers really speak for themselves. As I mentioned, there are many employers on the platform. Again, this platform has been around since 2014. So I quite enjoy that, we're just now getting into the game because we're joining a network that has over 400,000 employers already on the system, which is very exciting. And I can attest, as our team is the one connecting with employers on the platform, they are looking to connect with Bentley students. They are posting their opportunities in events. So it's so exciting to hear, companies like Procter & Gamble or JP Morgan that are really posting jobs and internships targeted for Bentley students. And like I mentioned, this really is a network. So Bentley has finally joined the network of universities and colleges that are on Handshake. There are over 1,000 on this platform right now, which is great because employers really understand that this is the platform to go to if they want to post a job or an internship. So it makes it the #1 place they go to recruit early talent. So I hope that helps give you an understanding on the benefits of Handshake and why we ultimately did make the transition from our previous system to this new, great, very user-friendly, interactive platform. So I want to explain, how do the students actually use Handshake? So as I mentioned, it is the place to go to get hired, right? It's where you're going to discover what jobs and internships are there. It's a place where employers can find you, and you can, have such a presence, on Handshake by completing your profile that you will be proactively reached out to by employers, whether it's based on interests that you've mentioned or, the skills that you've mentioned on your profile. Employers do have the ability to reach out to students proactively and connect with them. So, that's very exciting because now, it's just an extra avenue for you to network with employers. It's also a place, as I mentioned, we're joining this network of like 1,000 schools. It's a place where students can connect with other students from other universities and, through a peer messaging feature, really find out, oh, I see that you went to a school also in the Boston area and that you interned at a company of my choice. I would love to connect with you and discuss how your experience was, right? We have a lot of students who are really using this platform as sort of, in addition and supplementary to LinkedIn, right? It's a place where you can connect, you can build relationships, you can broaden your network. So I think that is so exciting that this platform has that built-in network component and that peer messaging feature. And then lastly, it's really our career hub right now. So this is the platform where I mentioned not only will you and your student apply for jobs, internships, RSVP for events, but it really is where we're going to be housing our, any resources or vendors that we want you to be directed to. We have a career center built into Handshake. So there are going to be resources available to your student. There are going to be ways to actually schedule appointments with a career coach through the platform. So what I want you to take away is that, if your student is thinking, well, how do I even get started with the Career Center? I mean, #1, they can obviously meet with a representative from our Career Center and discuss this journey, but Handshake is going to be the place to go where they really take charge of their career journey and start participating in all these different aspects of the platform. So 3 things I really want you to leave with today that I want to ensure that your student does. So important because I know, there's a lot of information that you're learning during Falcon Weekend and, your student starting the new fall trimester. I'm sure there's a lot of information and emails that they're getting, but if I could leave you with any sort of lasting piece of advice, I would like you to ensure that your student does these 3 things with regards to Handshake. #1, we really want them to activate their account. So I will definitely go into a little bit more on that in the next slide, but it's very, very important that they actually go into the Handshake platform, activate their account, claim their account, which leads to #2, completing their profile. Completing their profile and sort of obtaining that 100% level of profile completion is so key in terms of networking with employers, applying for job opportunities, really branding themselves 100% on the platform. It's very huge. So those 2 things are essential. And then #3, adjusting their privacy settings. We're going to get a little bit more into that, but ultimately on Handshake, the student can decide the level of visibility they want to have on the platform. They can be private and just apply to jobs and internships. They can have an employer setting where they want employers to be able to view them, and they can have a community setting, which means, peer messaging, the employer setting, sort of, again, being part of that community. So we're going to get a little bit more into that, but those are the 3 things to make sure that your student does with regards to Handshake so far. So as I mentioned, activating the account, it's very simple. And, the Handshake folks are so technical and they're so great, but we do have single sign-on for Handshake. So our Bentley students just have to go to bentley.joinhandshake.com and they can log in with their own Bentley login credentials, the same credentials they're using for Workday and for their emails. So we've made it very, very simple. That way it's easily integrated with your Bentley University community, and it saves them an extra step. There's no hassle of having to create the username, etc. So very, very quick, simple. And once they activate their account, they're going to have some onboarding questions that are very helpful in terms of getting them used to the platform and even getting some targeted job opportunities sent their way. I mentioned completing the profile. We have networked and communicated with so many employers since transitioning to Handshake. And the #1 piece of advice that they have is saying, make sure our students obtain 100% profile completion. The numbers also speak for themselves here. 80% of students who complete their profile on Handshake are contacted by an employer. This is because employers often, when they're reaching out for their internship or full-time job and they're trying to network with students, or they want to push a message or a promotion via Handshake, a lot of the times one of the first things they choose from their filters or fields is, I want to target students who have a complete profile. So off the bat, you really want to make sure that you reach that 100%, or else you might get missed in that communication. Again, you're 5 times as likely to get reached out by an employer if your profile is complete. So the likelihood of being reached out once you do complete that profile is very high. And our last stat here is that there are 25,000 student searches conducted per month by employers, again, based on the information on a student's profile. So that's why it's so important to get to that 100% complete. And we will go into our demo a little bit and I'll actually show you, but there is a profile completion bar that totally walks you through what it means to complete your profile. Uploading a picture, adding a work experience, adding a student organization, uploading a document. They totally help you out, and it's super simple and definitely necessary. And then lastly, as I mentioned, privacy is ultimately very important to us, very important to Handshake. We want to make sure our students feel secure and safe, being part of the Handshake network. So we do have the ability for students to designate which type of profile visibility they want. Again, there are 3 levels. There's community, which means you're visible to students, alumni, employers. You can utilize that peer messaging system. A lot of our students opt for this level of visibility because, again, they're sort of embedded in the network. They're using all of its capabilities, but there are other levels if you choose that you want to remain a little bit more private and just have access to, applying for jobs or scheduling an appointment with your career coach. You can certainly choose one of the other 2 levels of having just employers be able to see you, or just being completely private. Okay. And then before we get into our product demo, I just wanted to call out some Handshake resources. I know students nowadays love anything that is an app, so it's very important to note that Handshake is on the Apple Store or Google Play Store as an app. It's super mobile friendly and very easy to use, and a lot of students are really liking this capability. Handshake also has a blog where people are noting, career paths, or Handshake interns are documenting their experience at Handshake and what they're learning. It's just another tool for our students to be able to research and gain access, again, into careers, functions, job roles, intern experiences, learning more about Handshake, feeling really comfortable with the platform that they're signing into every day. So I highly recommend checking out the Handshake blog. And then, of course, if there are any technical difficulties with the Handshake platform, Handshake really prides themselves on having a fantastic support team that, is highly accessible. So I just wanted to include this little note to the Handshake Help Center. Not only do they have articles on almost every single facet of the platform, and there's a lot of modules and features and facets on there, but they also have an ability for students, career services, employers, IT professionals who are using the platform to submit a ticket, and they do respond very, very quickly to any sort of inquiry that they get. They have been a fantastic partner in implementing Bentley University and getting Bentley on Handshake. So we are so grateful to them, and I know that they treat any sort of partner on Handshake, user of Handshake, the exact same way. And then of course, if your student has questions on, again, just Handshake itself, on maybe what they should be doing during this time, maybe what events they could be attending, any questions on job applications or anything on Handshake, I just wanted to remind you that our recruiting office is here to help them. Our email is recruitinginfo@bentley.edu. Super simple, but please have your student reach out to us if they have any questions whatsoever about anything I've mentioned here or career development in general. Okay. So without further ado, I want to bring us actually onto Handshake so everyone can see what is this amazing platform that I've been talking about and am clearly, super smiley over. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment here. And while I pull up Handshake, let's see here. Awesome. I will assume that everyone can see my screen. If not, Emily will let me know. But this is the Handshake Dashboard. So after your student has gone to bentley.joinhandshake.com and done that single sign-on process that we talked about, this is going to be their landing page. This is the dashboard. This is their home screen. So you can see here, very user-friendly, very modern, a great interface. We're gonna delve into a few things here, but I think the most important I want to cover is that profile aspect, because completing that profile is so important. So right here in the upper right-hand corner where you see my little picture, again, this is my student account, you would just click here and then actually click on My Profile. And this is gonna bring you to what I keep on referring to as like the student profile where you have to complete. So as you can see here, it's almost very similar to a LinkedIn where, you have a profile picture, you have your little headline that, talks about education, when you're graduating, you have a bio statement up here. And again, every single piece that's editable on this profile side is very important in terms of that 100% profile completion, which you can see I've done a good job, and I hope every student follows in my footsteps. I've completed this 100%, so the navigation bar is telling me that. When I was building out my profile, it would really honestly walk me through what I needed to do to hit that 100%. So if we scroll down here, you will see some, work experience, volunteer experience. We get a question a lot from students is, should my experiences match what's on my resume? Should it match what's on my LinkedIn? I say, yes, it can. I mean, we like to build consistency across all the platforms that your student is using to apply to jobs and to network. So really build it out as your resume is built out. You can certainly add a little bit more color to it because this is, again, a never-ending sort of platform that, it doesn't have to just be a page. You can build it out. But ultimately, employers say they want more information. They want to know about the 3 internships you had, or they want to know about the organizations, right? I think Handshake's so great where you can add in the courses that you've taken in addition to projects. Feel free to elaborate on some projects from some of those courses, because trust me, employers have all of these same filters on their end, so they can really, search, I want a student who's done machine learning before, or done a machine learning project before. And so the more you have on your profile, the better chance you are going to be having been searched by an employer on their end. Back on the left-hand side, I just want to call out the skills section, as this is very important too. This is one of the biggest fields that employers use to find students. Again, if they're looking for someone with leadership or data analysis on their end, just make sure that you have all your top skills really built out in this skills section because it's so important. I'm going to scroll up here to, and I want to call this out very specifically because Handshake, when they did a demo for us, really wanted to make a great point of this interest section. So these questions, are you actively looking for a job? If I scroll here to the edit section, these are sort of key indicators that are really twofold. Not only are you actively looking, what are your job interests? What cities are you interested in? What roles, industries? The more you fill them out, again, the more that you'll appear in employer searches when they're saying, hey, I am looking for students who are looking for a full-time job in Boston, Massachusetts as a business analyst. You'll be pulled up in their search, right? But also, this is what the Handshake platform uses to create targeted information for you through your dashboard, through emails, through notifications. The platform is using, their very special algorithm to make sure that the opportunities they're sourcing are pulled from these fields so that they're relevant to you, so that when you log in, you're going to see business analyst positions in Boston that you would be right for, right? It's really using the data that you're putting into the system to sort of feed back out to you so that you continue to use the platform because it's relevant. And you can change any of these fields at any time. If you decide, I'm actually interested in New York City, right there. Now you'll be, having more opportunities from New York being sourced to you and pushed out to you, right? So never hesitate to go back in and check, I actually decided that, I'm not really into data science anymore. I want to really, be more business analyst or product manager. That's okay. Just ensure that you're, actively keeping tabs on what you've put at your job interest, and the platform will be more relevant to you. Okay. And now I just want to call out one section too, as I mentioned, for the privacy settings. Right here under the profile completion bar is where you can change the settings to however your student, wants them to be. Again, if they want to really engage with the Handshake community and find, Handshake alumni on there, or students from other schools, it is recommended that they have the community setting, because that's how they'll be able to engage with those individuals. But if not, you can always change your setting to, I just want employers to be able to see me. They can still message me, that's great. Or, you know what, I really want to have it private at this point. And of course, Handshake has prompts about what this means when you're changing and, what this could look like for you. But ultimately, your student is in total control of the setting that they want to have. So I think that's very important to note, and great for us to know as career services too, because again, we're all about our students feeling safe and comfortable on a platform that they're using every single day. Okay, so that is the profile sort of aspect of Handshake. And again, if all else fails, please tell your student to activate their account, complete their profile, and adjust their privacy settings. That is very much key. I don't want to overwhelm anyone too much, but I do want to spend some time on the jobs tab, because I know that is what's on everyone's mind as well, what's on every student's mind. And it's such a great feature. So this is our jobs tab in Handshake. As you can see, it's very clean, very, I would say, again, just user-friendly, very intuitive. These are all the opportunities that are currently posted for Bentley University. So when I say that, it means that every day my team and I wake up at 8:30, we log on to Handshake, and we one by one approve or decline positions for our Bentley students that employers have said, hey, we want to post this to Bentley. Is this relevant to your student population? So this is actually manually reviewed every single morning to make sure these are opportunities that are relevant to our community. Okay, our Bentley students' majors and programs. So I'm going to try, if I was a student interested in marketing, it's very simple. I would just do a quick, marketing field search. And this is just the search, engine here. It's very similar to like a Google, you use it for keywords, and then you can find opportunities that are suited for your needs. And if you wanted to get really exciting with all the filters, you can say, hey, I'm looking for a full-time job in marketing, right? I want to filter by location. I want to view more filters. What's a paid role versus an unpaid role? I want to find opportunities that may accept OPT or CPT if I'm an international student. I want to search by specific employers, right? So I think it's very important for students to explore the system and start playing around with those filters, because then their job searches are going to be even more targeted. When they're ready to apply for a job, Handshake makes it super simple. There are two options. In this red bar here, if it says apply externally, it means that students are going to be redirected to an employer's career site, or however they're, whatever ATS they're using, and they're going to be able to apply right through the employer's actual site, right? If they are looking to apply through the system, It's going to say quick apply here or apply here, and then they can actually apply through the Handshake platform and pull up their resume, and it's like 2 clicks and you're done. So again, Handshake has made it very friendly to actually apply for jobs, to keep track of the jobs you're applying to, and I highly recommend having your student even just peruse this jobs feature, start seeing what job opportunities are out there, and start getting comfortable with it. Okay. Quickly before we move to the Career Center, I do want to show the events tab, because if there's one thing we learned about Handshake, it's that now that we're part of this community with thousands of employers and other schools, there are events floating in every single morning and every single day. And again, our team is manually approving those relevant events by some awesome employers. So I would highly recommend telling your student to check out the events page and see what they can attend. You know, I mean, these are all opportunities. A lot of them are virtual, you know, mostly all of them are virtual given today's, you know, climate and the global health pandemic. So I would highly recommend that if they're looking to network with Amazon or Bank of America or Pepsi, I mean, these are some really fantastic, you know, employers here, to go on and check out, you know, what sort of event are they doing? Is this relevant to me? If so, register. You know, just click a button, register. Handshake is so great with notifications that it will send you a reminder if, you know, you RSVP to register for an event. Hey, in 1 hour, this event is starting. You know, make sure you attend. So this events tab is really where employers will be posting their events, and then, you know, Bentley Pulse Career Development Center, if we're doing something internal, we will also be posting it and promoting it through this Handshake events feature as well. So very important to note. And then I want to be sure that we spend some time showing you how your student can actually request a career coaching appointment, because that is also one of the #1 questions we get is, I'm on Handshake now, but, you know, how can I still meet with my career coach, because there's so much we have to talk about and I'm ready to apply and I want to work on my resume and cover letter for this job. So right at the top upper right-hand corner where you see Career Center, this is going to be sort of like the career development hub for your student. There's a resources tab, again, where I mentioned there could be some helpful links to some resources or to some other vendors that we might want you to use, like Big Interviewer, Going Global. Appointments is where your student can actually go to request a career coaching appointment. So they would just click on appointments. And I do want to note that junior and senior year students are already mapped to their designated dedicated career coach on Handshake. First years and sophomores are definitely able to join drop-in hours, which are every day, that are conducted by one of our amazing career coaches and her career colleague team. So this is more applicable for juniors, seniors, and master students because they're already mapped out to a career coach. So if I wanted to go and, you know, schedule an appointment, it's that simple. It really leads you through everything. Schedule an appointment, you would end up finding which career coach you're mapped to, you would pick the type of appointment that you wanted, and then you would see some availability here, and ultimately you would make the request, and you would put in a note if you wanted to, and just put in the request here. You can see the appointment medium is video call, as we are doing everything virtual in this time right now. So all of our appointments are either done by phone call, Skype, Zoom, Teams, GoToMeeting, you name it, whatever platform the student is most comfortable with using, we are happy to do it. We primarily love to use Zoom. As you can tell, everything's on Zoom webinar, Zoom meeting for us. But I just wanted to call out, this is the section where your student can really start connecting with their career coaches because it is so important. Okay. You know, I feel like that's a good overview of Handshake. You've learned just as much almost as we ultimately, you know, initially learned when we were first demoing the product. But again, it is so useful to understand what your student is using, what they're logging into every day. And I'm just so excited for them to start their career journeys with this new exciting platform. And I'm so happy that you're here today to learn about it. So thank you.
Thanks, Anna. We have some great questions. Again, just as a reminder to everybody, if you have a question that came up as you were listening to Anna talk and give us this great demo, feel free to put it in the Q&A box. We'll try to get to as many as we can in the remaining half hour. And we'll also pop some links in the chat box so that you can check these some resources out, especially for families on your own time. All right, let's get started. First question, should a first-year student create an account on Handshake?
Great question. And yes, absolutely. I say, as soon as possible, whether you're a first year student, a transfer student, any year, it is definitely important to, number one, get comfortable with the platform. And again, really start building your brand and presence on the platform, because as a first year student, you're probably going to engage with employers if you start attending their events, right? And having a profile and a completed profile is key. So I would say 100% yes, start activating your account, building the profile. It's okay if you don't necessarily have, internships to add, or, you can really build it out how you want to. I would say get a picture on there, add in any organizations you've been a part of in high school, or, you are maybe already signed up for now at Bentley. Talk about any work experience that are, like babysitting, mowing a lawn for the neighbors, like any sort of work experience you've had throughout your time at high school or even the beginning of college. List that out too, because that's still really important for employers. And also definitely fill out that job interest section, because employers are definitely looking to connect with you. If one of your interests is marketing, they also want to target some students potentially as early as possible and start that conversation early. So that is such a great question. I'm so glad someone asked, but yes, absolutely. And definitely make sure to, you're going to be taking CDI 101 in the springtime, which every first year student should absolutely sign up for CDI 101. That is our career development intensive. And you're going to spend a lot of time talking about Handshake, resumes, how to build everything out. So just be sure to sign up for that class as well.
That leads to our next question, Anna, about how are students receiving training on Handshake? So you just mentioned in the CDI class, are there other opportunities?
Our employer relations and recruiting team has been holding Handshake drop-ins for the last few weeks since we have implemented Handshake. So we've definitely worked with students, if they have some questions about the system. We've even walked some students through building their profile. I would say, other than CDI 101 or shooting, employer relations and recruiting requests, spending some time on Handshake Support, some of the articles, they make it super easy and friendly. If you have a question on, profile completion, you just go to the Handshake Support website, type in profile completion, and they have articles that walk you through everything. So I would say definitely leverage Handshake Support. But ultimately, we are also here too to help you with Handshake drop-ins, with questions. So be sure to come to us if you have any questions as well.
Great. And the jobs that are posted, are they specifically for Bentley grads, or are all jobs available to all students on the Handshake platform?
That's another great question, and something that is very exciting to talk about and to really learn the nuances of the system. So an employer, when they post a job, they have to select which schools they want the job posted to. So that meant that every job that a Bentley student sees when they log into Handshake has been intentionally sent to Bentley University for Bentley students to apply to. Now, again, if it's a big company, they could have sent that posting to multiple other schools, but it's great to know that they were thinking of Bentley University and said, hey, we need to send this out to Bentley because we want our Bentley students to apply to this as well.
Great. And a follow-up question to that, what criteria do you consider when you approve a job or an internship that an employer posts? Is job location a consideration?
So I think in this day and age, we're very open to considering jobs across the country, especially given our student interests, they might be changing. I know we're New England based and we have very strong connections to our New England employers, but we certainly see positions that are posted across the country. So the criteria we mostly look for is this relevant to our Bentley student population? Is this a position that, a finance major, an accounting major, a data analytics major, or, a creative industries, student? Could we see them in a role like this? Is this something that would be relevant to them? So we absolutely take that into account on the grad side as well. If we see anything analytics, anything human factors, we will go ahead and do some more vetting and make sure, it's a trusted company, but we will approve it. The thing with Handshake is there are a lot of opportunities that come to the system that we do not approve because they're not right for our Bentley community. There's a lot of, teaching positions, a lot of nursing positions, chemical engineering positions, and we just know that those aren't truly relevant to our population. So we want to make sure when a student logs in that they're going to see roles that are right for them.
Great. And I think I know the answer to this, but are there any costs to the student associated with the platform, especially after they graduate?
So if a current student is on the Handshake platform, there is no cost to them whatsoever. They can use the platform freely. As of now, we only have current students on the Handshake platform. Alumni actually have an entirely different alumni job board where they can look for opportunities. So while you're a current student here at Bentley University, no, there is no cost to use Handshake.
And Anna, when a student graduates, what happens to their access to Handshake? As somebody is asking about, do they keep their Bentley email after they graduate? I'll just share that, unfortunately, our Bentley students do not keep their email after 6 months after they graduate. The class of 2020 has been an exception, but we do offer an email forwarding for life through a Gmail-based account. And so then, Anna, what happens to their access to Handshake?
Yeah, so it's going to be very similar to the email where you probably will have, a grace period for a few months on the platform after you graduate, but eventually you will be phased out of that system, ultimately because you won't have that Bentley email anymore that recognizes you. So like I mentioned, while you're a current student, I say utilize Handshake 100% capacity as much as you can. And then when you become an alum, really connect with our Alumni Career Development Office or Office of Alumni and Family Engagement and learn about the resources for intended for alumni and job seeking.
Thanks for the plug, Anna.
Yeah, of course.
Should college students still use a LinkedIn profile in addition to Handshake?
Oh, I love this question. I love this question because Handshake also loves this question. But yes, they're not competitors, Handshake and LinkedIn. They really are supplementary to each other where, Handshake, again, is sort of the #1 place to go to for early talent from employers. That's where internships are posted. That's where entry-level roles are posted. And LinkedIn is fantastic as well. It's another great place for networking, for really creating your brand and building your profile. So it should supplement Handshake. They should supplement each other. They're certainly not competitors. So I know for 100% for a fact, Handshake would say, yes, continue to use LinkedIn, especially as you sort of go on further through your career. You're definitely going to find probably more appropriate positions on a LinkedIn. Even if you are a senior student, I would be checking both, on the daily, because there might be some opportunities on LinkedIn for early talent and entry level, but absolutely, I would say continue to use LinkedIn and definitely just add Handshake again to your repertoire of platforms to connect and network with individuals.
Great. And another question sort of about the toolkit. So how do the platform and the career fairs or career events work together for students looking for internships? Are they just as important as the Handshake program? And students should likely do both and work hand in hand?
Yeah, so Handshake really is, again, that sort of career hub where it's going to be the platform where you can look for jobs and internships. If an employer has decided, they want to spend a day just interviewing Bentley students, there are specific on-campus, on-campus jobs. They're virtual recruiting, but, intended just for Bentley students. We, now that we're virtual, have used Handshake to conduct some of our virtual career fairs. So we had 4 virtual career fairs in the last couple of weeks that were done via Handshake, which was great because, something that would have been done on person and in the arena can now be done on the platform that our students are actually using to apply to the jobs. So again, if anything, this is just another great platform to use on the daily, but go to the events that are on the events section. You're going to have to go to maybe another platform if an employer is saying, hey, we're posting this on Handshake to promote it, but, our event is going to be done through Brazen or, through any sort of other platform. So I would say, this is truly the place to go to, but it doesn't mean that, you shouldn't look anywhere else, or if there's another virtual career fair, being promoted, that you can't attend that as well.
It has a lot of one-stop shop features, but certainly doesn't have to be.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Cool. And perhaps you can answer this question. When are you matched with a career coach? Is it as a sophomore when you have an idea of what field you'd like to go into?
So you are matched with a career coach your junior year. So typically a lot of our students are declaring either at the end of their sophomore year or junior year, and that is really has sort of delegated our process of, okay, when do you have your dedicated career coach? And it is ultimately all based on your major. That is how our career coaches have systematized the process. So, if you have a sense of what major you are going to be declaring, again, as a sophomore student, you can definitely go to drop-ins and talk about it with the sophomore career coach and her career colleague team. But junior year is when you are mapped and you have a new career coach to work with for the last 2 remaining years at Bentley. Oh, I think you're on mute, Emily.
Thank you. We were joking earlier, that's the soundtrack to 2020. So glad we got that into Falcon Weekend experience if you had that on your bingo card. Just kidding, there's no bingo. Final question of the afternoon session. In general, how has employer interest and activity been this year compared to previous years?
Wow, that is a great question. With everything being virtual, I think it's actually perfect timing that we are new to Handshake and that, we're in this sort of lifestyle and culture now where we have to be virtual. So it's really worked out. Employer engagement, I feel like, has really increased because not only can we engage with employers who really couldn't come to campus in person. We can engage with someone in California to do a Zoom webinar for our students, or, a higher level sort of person at a company to, come to an info session or do an employer in residence, because we have all these new capabilities and new technology. So I think employers are very excited about the advent of virtual engagement and technology. Who knows what's going to happen once things sort of settle down. I do feel like the future is virtual, and there certainly might be some sort of hybrid model of in-person and virtual, but employers seem really excited about it. It is certainly freeing up a lot of their time that they would be traveling back and forth. And so they have more time to do great info sessions, virtual recruiting, connecting with students. I think it's been a win-win for everyone so far.
Great. I think that's a perfect way to end our session.
Yeah.
Our next session, if you are signed up, is for our 2020 presidential election session with Professor Gulati and our CNN reporter, Dan Merica, class of 2010. So if you're registered for that, you should be able to just pop over using that Zoom link. Thank you for joining us. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to the recruiting team. I popped some very helpful resource links in the chat for you if you want to take a look at those right before we say goodbye. Anna, any last comments before we leave?
No, I'm just so thankful that you had me here today, Emily. It is so exciting to talk to, our families and talk about what our students are using on the daily. It's such an exciting time here in career development. So I'm so happy I got to share that with everyone. And again, if anyone has any questions for myself or my team, they can certainly reach out to recruitinginfo@bentley.com or .edu. And again, just, please check out Handshake. It truly is worth all the buzz. And no, thank you so much again for having me here.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.